It is hard now to remember what life was like back then. I believed them when they told me that I was alone in the world and that this place and time were invincible. Before that day in September, in April, in December, in May, in November, when this city's veins opened and we lived 100 years of history in one afternoon. The world has changed, and we have changed with it. The stories we were told about ourselves and our place in the world no longer seem to make sense, and they have left us to walk these streets as strangers. And so we walk, and we listen to other voices in other places.
Everywhere today, every aspect of our lives is being violently reorganized. Everywhere there is war. A war without a battlefield, a war without an enemy, a war that is everywhere, 1,000 civil wars, a war without end, the Fourth World War.
On the one side is a system of terrifying violence, and on the other side are all of us who will stop this war.
This is not a tour, and we are not tour guides.
This is a trip into our own history.
Our purpose is not to share with you 500 years of struggle. It's impossible in the time we have.
It is to open up a window.
I didn't know my neighbors until we met in the street. The friendship was dangerous in Argentina. To survive, we learned to walk past the violence around us without seeing, without becoming witnesses. The police stations were in the city center, and at night we had to tell ourselves the screams were something else. I didn't know my neighbors until we met on the 19th and the 20th, until we decided to stop being afraid.
La ministra del Interior decía: primero vamos a matar a los activistas, a los guerrilleros, después a sus cómplices, después a sus amigos, después a sus familias. Es decir, no vamos a dejar ni el recuerdo de la gente que quiso cambiar algo acá. Bueno, y lo que trataron de hacer, ¿no? Que hay que entender que el terror de la dictadura no termina con los juicios a los militares de Alfonsín. Hay toda una generación que quedó absolutamente aterrorizada. Yo me acuerdo porque era muy joven en esa época. La sensación de que por repartir 4 panfletos y luchar por 2 demandas te podían torturar 6 años seguidos. Es decir, que el terror fue la forma predominante y fundamental de dominio político del neoliberalismo. El neoliberalismo en Argentina no funciona sino por una vía de producción de consenso muy específica, que es el miedo, es el terror.
You are ordered to disperse within 5 minutes.
Se rompió algo, se rompió una ilusión de que por la vía del neoliberalismo, por esa vía de la globalización íbamos a tener la felicidad, se rompió la idea de que eso era la democracia, pero fundamentalmente lo que rompió el 19 fue el último elemento del terrorismo de Estado.
Es que los que dominan logran difundir a toda la población que su forma de vivir la vida es la única forma. Entonces hay como un tiempo único, homogéneo y lineal, donde todo lo que está por venir es igual a lo que está pasando y a lo que ya pasó. Y no se puede esperar ninguna novedad, no hay ningún tipo de rupturas en el tiempo. Sin embargo, a veces hay rupturas tremendas, estalla la temporalidad dominante y no hay más rutinas, no hay más previsibilidad y pasan cosas que nadie entiende.
For 500 years, the power has tried to erase and deny our existence. For 500 years, they have stolen our land. For 500 years, they have tried to bury our dead in the ground, to bury our culture behind a pane of glass. But in these mountains walk the dead, our dead.
Nuestros abuelos, que ellos nos enseñaron a trabajar. Y seguimos con nuestra misma costumbre, pues, como sembramos pues la semilla de maíz y de frijol.
La madre tierra es la que nos da de comer, la que un día nos va a cubrir también. Y es donde sacamos el sostén para nuestros hijos, para nuestras familias. Y entonces tenemos que defenderla como de lugar.
El gobierno aquí dice que no hay problemas aquí en el estado de Chiapas, que está en paz todo, pero es mentira.
In the last decades of the 20th century, the world's economic map was redrawn. Factories were closed in the north and sweatshops open in the south. Peasants were forced off their land, family farms replaced by agricultural companies, small businesses wiped out by giant chain stores. Towns and regions died away as waves of economic refugees came looking for work in the capitals of economic power. A few companies grew very rich, and most of us grew poor. In North America, politicians from Canada, the United States, and Mexico signed a treaty to make these economic changes permanent. This treaty was called NAFTA. and it became law on January 1st, 1994.
Hermanos y hermanas, nosotros somos indígenas y representamos al Ejército Zapatista de Liberación Nacional, que se alzó en armas en contra del Supremo Gobierno y que mantiene en alto sus banderas de democracia, libertad y justicia para todos los mexicanos. Nosotros somos guerreros, somos los últimos de una generación de hombres y mujeres cuya encomienda colectiva ha sido el ser guardián y corazón de nuestros pueblos.
I just wanted to say that there's some really violent people over there inside the security perimeter, and they're the 34 leaders of this hemisphere. People like George Bush, Vicente Fox, John Penn. So if you want to say hi to them, go straight. If you want to go...
Una de las cosas que implicaría o que significaría sería la pérdida de la soberanía de las naciones y también una violación a los derechos humanos, el derecho a la salud, el derecho a la educación, los derechos colectivos, los derechos laborales y dejar que el llamado libre mercado de las grandes empresas transnacionales se encarguen de repartir la riqueza, que va a llevar más bien a un empobrecimiento y a un control de la economía en muy pocas manos de las grandes empresas transnacionales.
Capital and jobs can move and shift so fast. A town can be booming one day and tomorrow it's closed. You know, working people are very vulnerable to the whims of the corporate giants. There's no money for relocation, there's no money for retraining. Their benefits are tied into their workplace, so their health care is affected. Every fiber of their family is affected by the way these trade agreements are.
We have experienced the shit from NAFTA. April 20th is the day that we start taking our nations back, our countries back.
We walked, and in every place the war looked different. In some places it killed with bullets and bombs, and others with hunger and neglect. In some places it worked through global institutions and agencies, and others through local thugs and profiteers. Corporate globalization, neoliberalism, empire. The logic that this violence served was called different things in different places, but everywhere it was the same. It was fragmentation, isolation, fear. It was the rule of money and the market extending itself over every inch of the planet and every aspect of our lives. We walked, and days came that ripped these streets open. Days when the war was not a story they told us. Days when the war was here, under our feet.
This is a new kind of
different kind of conflict.
Totally different from any other.
This is a conflict without battlefields or beachheads.
This is civilization's fight.
Either you are with us,
an axis of evil,
or you are with
the entire world is the battlefield.
Every tool of intelligence,
every instrument of law
every
enforcement,
financial influence,
and every necessary weapon of war.
And make no distinctions among military and civilians.
Now this crusade is going to take a while.
Occupation, curfew, settlement, administrative detention, preemptive strike, terrorist infrastructure, attrition, transfer. Their war destroys language, speaks genocide with the words of a quiet technician. Occupation means that you cannot trust the open sky or any open street beneath the gaze of their sniper towers. It means that you cannot trust the future or have faith that the past will always be there. Occupation means you live out your life under military rule and the constant threat of death. A quick death from a sniper's bullet or a rocket attack from an F-16, a crushing, suffocating death beneath the rubble of a bulldozed building, a slow, bleeding death in an ambulance held for hours at a checkpoint, a dark death on the torture tables of an Israeli prison, a random, arbitrary death as their tanks spray a crowd with machine gun fire, a cold, calculated death from malnutrition and curable diseases, 1,000 small deaths as you watch your family die around you. Occupation means that every day you die and the world watches in silence as if your death were nothing, as if it were a stone falling to the earth or water falling over water. And if you face all of this death and indifference and keep your humanity and your love and your dignity and refuse to surrender to their terror and despair, then you know something of the courage that is Palestine.
Nos intentaron cortar la historia en los años 70, pero bueno, estamos acá para refrendar la historia real del pueblo argentino, su lucha, su conciencia y tratar de sacar este país un poco adelante para que tengamos dignidad.
Es una continuidad de aquel porque las políticas económicas que se están aplicando son las mismas, profundizadas y agravadas para el pueblo argentino.
Estos compañeros que hoy recordamos, que están siempre presentes entre nosotros, estaban luchando precisamente por nuestra dignidad. Por eso los genocidas se encargaron de eliminarlos. Por eso todos los años los recordamos, con el máximo de los orgullos, el máximo de la emoción y del cariño.
En cada uno de ustedes vive uno de ellos. En cada uno de ustedes vive uno de los 30.000. O 10 o 20 o 30 de los 30.000. Que tenemos que pelear para que no mueran más niños. Pero que no sea una cosa de lástima. Que sea verdad. No puede ser que en este país se mueran 100 niños. No puede ser por día. No lo podemos permitir. Tenemos que acompañar todas las luchas. Tenemos que sentir, compañeros, de una vez por todas, que el otro soy yo. 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 El piquetero soy yo. El revolucionario soy yo. Los que toman la fábrica soy yo. Los que no comen soy yo. Todos somos yo.
I walked out of Paulsmoor Prison in 1990 and felt free for the first time in my life. The townships came alive that year. Apartheid was collapsing around us, and everywhere you could read the joy and pride on people's faces. In April 1994, I voted for the first time. In the struggle at 15, at 21, I was in exile and unsure of my life. We spent our childhoods fighting in the streets of Crossroads, Athlone, Soweto, and then in the mountains of Angola. And on that brilliant day in April, we won. Our party was swept into power in South Africa's first democratic elections, and generations of sacrifice suddenly made sense.
I must go. Don't cry. I must go. On the heavy road to Seoul, climbing the white and black thirsting hills to sell my innocence. Long ago, I left the smell of wheat and castor bean flowers for the 12 hours of daily darkness in the factories of Shangwan. But we were many, and the bosses were few, and we struggled together to build a hard kind of dignity here. Their police and their jails could not break our solidarity, but now we are facing something new. The IMF and the WTO have come to cut us loose again from the home that we built here in the factory and the people that we found here in each other. They put me on a contract, and so I must go again. Don't cry, I must go. On the heavy road to Seoul, climbing the white and black thirsting hills to sell my innocence.
Political apartheid ended in 1994. Nelson Mandela and the ANC were swept into power in South Africa's first democratic elections. But victory was not so simple or so easy. A year earlier, while negotiating the transition to democracy, the ANC signed its first World Bank loan and began a program of structural adjustment. The new constitution was the most progressive in the world, guaranteeing the human right to water, housing, and electricity. But under the influence of the IMF, the ANC privatized all three, creating 8 million homeless in South Africa and cutting off water and electricity to tens of thousands of families every month. The apartheid state was defeated, but nothing changed. The economy was still in the hands of the same global system.
This is a farm. South Africa's a farm. And the whites were the farm managers. Now they've been kicked out. Now we've got black farm managers. Same motherfuckers. Same minds. Same greed. Different color. It's a lick of paint. It's the haves and the have-nots. It's always been the haves and the have-nots. Simply put, the Americans, Germans, Canadians, who had so much invested in keeping us miles under the ground, digging our gold and diamonds, they found out that their shares were at risk. Right? Because the mine workers were organizing themselves. And so they went to the ANC, who's been in bed with the communists for all that time, and they says, are you willing to manage our business? What's your business? South Africa. And they said, sure. So now our government is in fact the farm managers. I'm a field nigger. You see? South Africa's a farm.
There are going to be 100 houses going to be evicted today. Wow. And that's why the people protest today.
People has been patient for 400 years. They expected 1994 to be the end of that 400 years of patience. They thought that Freedom Charter would exist in South Africa, but it does not exist. People in South Africa are still waiting for a revolution that didn't happen. And these people that's angry. I think it was a slap in my face, and everybody that died for this cause, I think it's a slap in their face. I think it's a slap in their forefathers' face. I think it's a slap in their children's faces, because these people sacrifice not only their time, their effort, and their commitment, but also their lives.
Everybody, from the Archbishop to senior government officials, said to us, never again. You know, will apartheid happen on our soil? Never again. We also call, never again. But we're not going to not face the reality that the never again is happening today. For us, never again is serious. We live with it. We can't go anywhere without carrying our history with us. But we don't want our history to destroy us. We want our history to be a place on which we can build a future that we all share something special inside of.
The courage of children in the Jenin refugee camp, warm summer rain in Buenos Aires, fog and silence in Oventique, a river of red in Johannesburg.
Our step quickened, and our feet remembered days like these generations ago. days when flesh and bone were stronger than lead. We walked and we marched together, and everywhere the earth shifted under our feet.
We walked looking for answers inside these borders. We walked the length and breadth of our countries but could not find the edges of this system.
아직 어둠에 쌓여있는 국회. 1996년 12월 26일 국회에서 노동자들의 생존권과 민주적 권리를 무시한 노동학법이 날치기로 통과되었다. 신한국당이 날치기를 해서라도 노동법을 개혁하려고 했던 것은 전 세계 자본의 흐름을 쫓아가기 위해서다.
전국 민주노동조합 총연맹은 26일 새벽 신한국당이 단독으로 노동법 개혁안을 기습 날치기 통과시킨 반민주적 공고에 대항 1,200만 노동자들과 온 국민의 분노를 모아 26일 오전부터 산하 전 단위노조에서 즉각 무기한 총파업에 돌입한다.
I'm a picture here, I am the rebel warrior. I have risen along with my head held high. I will only rest when the cause of the oppressed no longer reach the sky. When the sound of the sword of the oppressor no longer rings in battle. Hear my war cry. Hey, 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 hear my war cry. Yes, I'm laying to your side. Let's go down at the drug gun. Now why in your nose? Just you be for your forgiveness. Say no need for that. No longer need a witness. So take my word, man. There's my sensors. 100,000 years of repentance. 100,000 years of repentance. Check my anger. It's real weight. No talking. I'll be satisfied only when your back's been broken. It's mine. But an ambition to burn down your empire, man. I've been building you a funeral pyre. The fire in my axe. It looks good to kill. I won't be satisfied until I find my real soul. Check my anger. It's real weight. No talking. I'll be satisfied only when your back's been broken. I'm in big
Walking through the streets of Seoul at night, even I can almost believe. Almost believe in the fragile surface of prosperity made from concrete and flat screens. It would be easy to walk these streets and not notice the violence just beneath the surface, the slow, crushing poverty of the working poor, and the crisis that looms just ahead of us. Bai Del-ho spent his life in the factory. Over 2 decades, he built a family and a home and some dignity there. But when the IMF came to privatize the industry, he struck with his union, and then they took away his job, his home, his bank account, and his children's future. On a Sunday morning in May, he set himself on fire in front of his factory gate. We have seen what the system has done in other countries, and we know what hunger looks like in the street. When we strike today, we are fighting for our lives, for our children's lives, for the lives of those who came before.
When the military came to power in 1976, they came to power basically with an IMF-style structural adjustment program.
Todos los ministros de economía de las dictaduras y de las dictaduras hasta hoy, incluyendo hoy mismo, son ministros de economía neoliberales que responden a diagnósticos de la época y a propuestas sobre cómo debieran reorganizarse los países. El diagnóstico era que los estados no podían seguir recibiendo demandas de la sociedad y que las sociedades tenían que empezar a dirigir sus demandas al mercado, que es una forma sutil y académica de decir que hay que destruir los estados nacionales y que los problemas de la gente tenían que resolverse en el mercado, es decir, que se jodan.
Up until the sort of December crisis, or maybe a few months before, Argentina was the poster child of the IMF.
Grandes sectores de las clases medias vivieron muy felices con el dólar barato y viajaron por todo el mundo y consumían como en el primer mundo, mientras entre 10 y 12 millones de personas se caían de toda capacidad de consumo, de toda capacidad mínima de vida digna y decidieron no mirar, no conocer nada, ¿no? Desde el punto de vista más superficial, estos sectores medios que estaban tan beneficiados con la convertibilidad y con el neoliberalismo han descubierto que todo esto es una ilusión. Es decir, que esta posibilidad de subjetivarse como un consumidor potente, etc., se destruye.
I met you in the street, before we felt the war on our skin. I did not know the history or geography of struggle that brought us to this moment, but our bodies remembered a strength that was not their own and a purpose outside of their time. An hour after curfew, running with a barricade down an alley choked with gas, you turned to me. The streets are full. Don't you feel it? The streets are full of ghosts.
Sultana Signor, Sultana Signor, Sultana Signor, Sultana Signor, Mano Campamenti, Sultana Signor, Sultana Signor, Mano Campamenti, Sultana Signor. Africa! We want them terug, we want you terug. Kom terug, Afrika! Come back, Africa! We want you back! Why is this? Let's see the freedom! We want the freedom that our people died for! This is our democracy that our children, our mothers, our daughters, our sons died for. Let us go and defend this democracy.
In the previous struggle, you could identify the enemy. It was the boer, the apartheid, it was the system. But now, for the ordinary person in the street, the enemy are difficult to identify. Because we're not fighting a world system here that is just been thrown upon us.
On the 1st of January, we chose to die fighting rather than to die forgotten. We armed our voice so that it could be heard. We hid our face so that it could be seen. We spoke with fire, and with fire responded the powerful. But then other voices spoke.
For over 75 years, the PRI ruled Mexico with violence and fraud. Every generation rose up against them, and every generation was crushed. But when the Zapatistas appeared in 1994, the entire country mobilized around them. In 7 years of struggle, Mexico moved from dictatorship to a media-driven democracy, and in 2001, the PRI was forced to give up the presidency. The country celebrated the defeat of the PRI and hoped for peace. The guerrilla army put aside their weapons and marched on the capital, asking the new government to pass the peace accords that the PRI had vetoed.
Tú no tienes la culpa, mi amor, que el mundo sea tan feo. Tú no tienes la culpa, mi amor, de tanto tiro.
Ni uno solo de los candidatos había tenido tal cantidad de gente que por su propio gusto y su propia convicción fuera a ver a alguien. Todos esos que no le dicen nada a los partidos políticos, toda esa gente que aunque haya votado tal vez por Fox para quitar al PRI, pero quiere otro México más justo, más digno, todos esos están sintiendo la fuerza que tienen, porque no es lo mismo salir tú solo a la plaza o emitir tu voto a salir rodeado de miles más que piensan como tú, que quieren otro México.
Suena mi pueblo, suena la razón. Lágrima de oro. Suena mi pueblo, suena la razón. Suena el guaguancó. Lágrima de oro. Tú no tienes la culpa, mi amor. Lágrima de oro. Lágrima de oro. Lágrima de oro.
In 7 years, we moved Mexico from dictatorship to representative democracy, and in 2 weeks that spring, we came through representative democracy and out the other side. The time to dialogue with the world of power has passed in Mexico.
the evil folks still lurk out there.
Our goal is to defend the American people, eliminate Iraq's weapons of mass destruction, to secure Iraq's oil fields, liberate the Iraqi people.
Liberate the people of Iraq, people whose lives we care about. The day of freedom is drawing near.
And then the Empire spoke again, and it tried to drown our voices in the deafening violence of war. There could have been no clearer statement of global public opinion, and they went to war anyway. We marched together and rallied and campaigned, and everywhere we felt out the edges of this system. The illusions of stability, economic efficiency, and representative democracy were replaced with crisis, war, and terror, with war as terror. We walked, and everywhere we saw the blindness of this system and the violence behind its deafness to our word. We saw that victory, whether military or electoral, is not enough. We fight for something much more difficult. We fight for a new world.
Desocupado, hace 8 meses desocupado. Trabajaba en una fábrica. Cerró y se fue del país.
Yo hace 3 años que estoy sin trabajo y bueno, antes trabajaba de chofer. Tenía
2 años sin trabajar. Yo era colectivero.
El mío yo trabajaba en recolección de basura y me quedé sin trabajo hace 2 años.
Estamos en Argentina, por eso nos quedamos todos sin trabajo.
While the economy and the government collapsed in Argentina, we began to organize outside of the old system. Workers took over their factories. Citizens rejected party politics and formed their own neighborhood assemblies. And the unemployed and homeless occupied abandoned land.
Hay 26 familias en esta toma de tierras. Eran tierras abandonadas, llega un momento que se colma la paciencia y bueno, se decide hacer este tipo de tomas.
Yo tengo 18 años, recién empiezo la familia, mi bebé tiene 2 meses y bueno, quiero salir, progresar un poco adelante, independizarme yo mismo.
Nos vemos un policía ahí, con una itaca, diciendo que no se puede ni entrar ni salir de este predio.
Estos, los policías, los que te lastiman, te pegan sin cesar, los que reprimieron la Plaza de Mayo, sin saber por qué, ni a quiénes, pierden la conciencia con los golpes que te dan, y pierden la naturaleza con las balas que te tiran. Así es, la pobre vida de un pobre y de un testigo. Todo esto era una montaña inmensa, todo tierra que tuvieron que sacarlo, con pala, sudor, hambre, sueño, día y noche. Y así es, así se gana una lucha. Toda la vida es una lucha. Luchala, vivila, disfrutala, sufrila y así vas a quedar bien plantado siempre, con la frente bien alta.
Mi tierra es lo más grande que tengo, es lo más lindo que tengo. Y bueno, la luchamos, la peleamos con todo, con policía, con la gente de arriba del municipio. Bueno, son un poquito duros para que te la den, pero si uno se propone con la ayuda y con la fuerza de la misma gente de tener el terreno, se gana.
Cayó la luna, se apaga el farol.
Yeah.
Did you feel it too that day in the streets of Genoa, the hot sun and 200,000 of us? And you took my hand saying, "Welcome home," while we spoke in scraps of English, Spanish, Italian. They ripped you free from land and history. They built walls around you. They made your life into a lonely compromise and turned you into an accomplice in their violence.
But it is a new world, so let us begin again. Make your home here with us in the street. Tonight, they may take these streets back. They may disperse us again. They may even beat and jail our bodies. But then they will have our bodies. They will not have our obedience. We heard the shot a block away and looked at each other in disbelief. I told you not to worry, that it was a concussion grenade or something else, but Carlo is dead now, and somehow everything is different. And so we do not come to this plaza to mourn where he fell. We come to you. We return to the living. There were others before him, remember? Yes, you remember. But then the blood was hidden, it was so far. The South's rain washed it from the earth, far, far away. The people's death was as it has always been, as if no one had died, nothing. As if they were stones falling to the earth, or water falling over water. But this crime was committed in the middle of the plaza. This blood was not hidden by the jungle or swallowed by the sand. No one hid this crime. This crime was committed in the middle of the plaza.
سجود أحمد تركي عمر تصوير بدنا يبين الدم خليك اكتب اكتب يلا لكن يلا في عندك في الليفت في كوميديوتي ممكن ندخلوا هيك الله يرحم والله يرحم الله يرحم واحد الله وحد الله كون لا اله الا الله وحد الله ابراهيم وحد الله يا ابراهيم الثاني طب الثاني طيب يا زلمه ساد بالراحه الله يرحمه الله يرحمه طلعوا قدام طلعوا خلاص تعال يلا غد يطلع معهم حرام الله يرحمهم Allahu Akbar. Said I feel like going on. So I'm saying, speak, Lord, speak to me. Lord, speak to me.
42nd Street, Port Authority, bus service.
'Cause I feel
Stay clear the doors, please.
Going on. I said I feel like going on. So let a mother say amen. Let a father say amen. Everybody say amen. Amen. Amen, y'all. Thank God for another day. Thank God for the last 5 minutes. Because we are at war. And the only thing war means is a lot of people gonna die. And it won't be the government. Because they very well protected.
34th Street, Penn Station,
Amen. And it don't take a genius to figure out who it's gonna be. After 50,000 people, y'all. It don't take a genius to figure it out. Amen. One question for you folks. Do y'all know why we at war? Anybody on this train know why we at war?
And one of the great goals of this nation's war is to restore public confidence in the airline industry. Fly and enjoy America's great destination spots. Get down to Disney World in Florida. Take your families and enjoy life the way we want it to be enjoyed.
They ought to take their kids on vacations. They ought to go to ball games. More people will be going to hotels and restaurants.
And tomorrow when you get back to work hard like you always have.
We are at war, they tell us. You are at war. The war has come home, and nothing will ever be the same again. But what if the war has come home? Where did it come from? When did it start? Who has been fighting it? And most importantly, how can we end this war? They don't have answers. They don't even ask the questions. Instead, they try to normalize this fear, to manage this pain. They tell us to return to work in our tall office buildings, to keep crossing the country in airplanes, to keep shopping. Above all, they tell us not to let this change us.
Wherever our movements won victories, the system's response was war. War that cannot be won. War that they have no intention of ending. War that is irrational, inefficient. War that does not end, that is an end in itself.
They try to break our spirit with arbitrary violence, to occupy our dreams with fear and despair. But we refuse to surrender to their terror. We refuse to surrender. And our refusal is a stone against their tanks.
Nosotros, muchos trabajadores expulsados de la fábrica, lo que en los 70 eran las tomas de fábrica como principal forma de lucha, ahora nos encontramos afuera, en nuestros barrios, y vemos que la forma del capitalismo es hacer circular las mercancías y obstruyendo las vías es la forma que más les duele económicamente. Entonces nosotros, que no tenemos nada, la forma de hacerles pagar el costo y hacerles notar que no nos vamos a resignar a morirnos por su ambición, les generamos dificultad a ellos de esta forma, obstruyendo las vías de circulación de los grandes camiones, como aquí se ve, que se transportan las ganancias de las grandes empresas que vaciaron el país.
El pueblo, cuando se enoja, con sangre, fuego y sudor, manda. En Plaza de Mayo, el pueblo, perdimos 7 compañeros, de ninguna bandera política, de ningún pensamiento político, sino solamente jóvenes argentinos que queríamos la libertad, y ellos se dieron cuenta que si el pueblo quiere, los va a sacar. Ya no nos pueden manejar como antes, ahora el pueblo dijo basta. Nos juntamos todas las clases sociales, trabajadores, desocupados, para decirle basta.
Ya no basta con llorar porque hay chicos que se mueren de hambre o hay familias enteras que se destruyen producto de la desocupación. No queremos vivir más en esta situación. La única salida es organizarnos y el miedo que a veces uno tiene se transforma en bronca y en organización, ¿no? Y bueno, esa es la única posibilidad que tenemos de sobrevivir, ¿no?
The charges against him are for public disobedience in his community. So all of the reasons that they've arrested him for are politically motivated. I think they're quite desperate because they can see that there's a momentum growing all over. I mean, police repression is to be expected. And it's not just Max, I suspect, that's going to be arrested. A lot more of identified individuals will be put through the same thing.
We rose up to seize the state, but found that the state did not exist, that in reality, we faced a system stretching far beyond our borders. But we were born in the struggle, and we have defeated other empires before this one. We did not overthrow apartheid through elections or decisive military engagement. We defeated apartheid, and we will stop this war by making it unworkable on the ground through thousands of collective acts of rebellion and disobedience.
We return again to the streets, but we have changed, and the streets mean something different. We do not walk today to ask for concessions from the power. They will never legislate peace or freedom. We come to you. We return to the living. Their armies cannot occupy our dreams, and their jails cannot hold our number. This is our world, and these streets belong to us.
We walked, and these moments changed us. We saw the buildings burning and the pain in our neighbors' eyes. We rushed bayonets in the mountain and lines of police in the city. We were touched by too much death. We loved and felt alive. We heard the echo of our word in other voices. We watched the moon rise over the barricades. We were wounded by the courage of small children. This is not the whole story, or the only story.
It is an introduction to some of the people with whom we share this planet.
A much greater story remains to be told.
The story we will write together.
Hermanos y hermanas, es la hora de la dignidad, es la hora de ver y vernos sin vergüenza ni temor. Es la hora de luchar. Abran pues su corazón nuestros guerreros. Prepara tus pies que te dimos. Abre los ojos y el oído atento que somos. Vuelve a ser de nosotros la palabra. Ya no serás tú. Ahora eres nosotros. Así que camina. Camina a la tierra del otro. Camina y habla. Toma ya nuestro rostro, toma ya nuestra voz, nuestra mirada anda. Hazte oído nuestro para escuchar del otro la palabra. Ya no serás tú, ahora eres nosotros. Baja de la montaña y busca el color de la tierra que en este mundo anda. Ya no serás tú, ahora eres nosotros.
I'm a victory, I am the rebel warrior, I am prisoner.